sound. Okay. And it's Skype. Oh, right. Gotta hit record too. Ah! This is super not elegant, but there we go. Okay. Welcome everyone to Friday Games at the MIT Game Lab, and today we have guests. We have TJ and Timothy. That's Timothy. That's TJ. And there are two of the developers on, I guess, a 5-6 person team.
Yeah, I think so.
Five.
I know everyone by name. I just don't associate a number with them.
And this is a Kickstarter project called SC2VN, the StarCraft 2 visual novel. And just some context, the visual novel is kind of a choose-your-own-adventure type of genre that originally started in... you can probably trace its roots back further, but really proliferated in Japanese indie developers. I would say, small groups of amateur developers working on PCs in a game market that was very much console dominated. This was a PC hobbyist developer culture, and this particular game uses a game engine called Ren'Py or Ren'Py. I don't know what you.
I think it's Ren'Py.
Python, so Ren'Py.
Yeah, Python. Yeah, so it has a Python scripting layer, but it has a lot of useful library functions for doing everything that you want to do in a visual novel and kind of choose your own adventure combined with large images, large colorful images, and laying on characters. And of course, this game refers to StarCraft 2, which is real-time strategy, very much again a PC-dominated genre, but one that usually emphasizes fast reflexes and multitasking and real-time play, and not at all the turn-based decision-making that you will normally associate it with a visual novel. So it's a kind of really interesting mix of two genres. Would you guys like to say anything about this project before we get into the play along?
Sure. I'll just talk about visual novels in general. One thing I really like about visual novel versus some other medium is that you can do a lot with little. Like with only a few assets, you can tell a pretty engaging story that goes a lot past just the text that's on the screen, which is, pretty much what the core of the experience is about. It's about the story. But with just like a few tracks of music, a few backgrounds, there's a lot more that can happen. A little bit of animation. It's pretty cool.
In this version, this technical demo that the developers have provided us, there's going to be 3 characters, if I recall. Your main character, yep. Which has the username, the gamer tag Mark, and then
that's right.
2 other characters, Jet, who's a female game player, and an unknown character who is a male player. Yeah. So
right.
We kind of want to do this in a sort of sing-along way, where we'll read out the text. But it'll be great to be able to get different people to do the different voices.
Hi, technical.
Huh? So any volunteers for the characters?
Sure, I'll take one.
Okay, since you're the first volunteer, which character do you want? Do you want to be like the unknown pro gamer?
Unknown pro gamer.
All right. So you will actually see the word unknown pro gamer come up. I believe in the red color. So every time that shows up on screen, you read the text on screen. Who wants to play the main character? Mark.
I think I would make a great protagonist.
Okay, then why don't you play Mark?
Yeah.
And I believe Mark comes up in cyan, little cyan thing. And then there's a third character, Jet.
I'll be the girl.
You'll be Jet. Awesome. I'll do all of the narration, the sort of like off-camera narration and the introspection and things like that. And the developers can't actually see our screen, but they can see us, and they'll be able to hear everything that we're saying. And I'm sure they know this game so well at this point.
Yeah.
All right. let's get this started. By the way, I'm not going to make any decisions when the decision points come up. So you're gonna the room's gonna tell me what we're gonna actually end up doing.
Okay. We can do like Twitch plays SC2VN.
Yeah, Twitch set up.
If my wireless is working, I would. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not sure if Twitch we're able
There's
to see
probably
Twitch
like
chat
too
right
much
now.
of a delay, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a whole bunch of people in this room, so
claim your agency.
I'm also gonna like try to sync down a little bit so the camera can actually see the three people who are doing the voices.
But your glorious face.
My glorious face takes up half the
Funny,
screen.
So glorious.
Let's do this. Alright, please select the gender of the character. Who's the main character again? Alright,
Jenny,
that's you. Yeah.
what would you like?
Male, female? Oh, I need to turn up the audio.
I want to be a dude.
Alright. You're a
I
dude.
hope that's okay, Internet.
You've identified as a male character. You can change this later if you change your mind.
Yeah, indecision.
Alright. So, please select the race that your character plays. Only Terrans available in this demo. In the full game, you'll be able to pick a race to play.
I pick whatever is available.
Alright. You have identified as a Terran player.
Yeah.
So you are a male Terran player. Is this correct? Yes, I want to be a male Terran player. No, I want to re-choose my character settings.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
I've been meaning to hang out with Jet for a week now. Ever since we met at the PC cafe, she's been extremely good about hitting me up for practice. I enjoy practicing online and all, but there's something refreshing about playing games against someone who you're only a few feet away from. SC2 may not have LAN, but being close enough to talk in person makes things a bit easier. We agreed to meet up at Golden Zone Fire, a nearby PC cafe after a dozen practice games, the same cafe we met about a month ago. Since then, I've been busting my ass practicing for the Code 8 qualifiers. The sting of getting knocked out early on during the last qualifier is still fresh in my mind. I catch sight of Jet, sitting alone in one of the cafe's quiet corners. She's in the middle of a ladder game, so I don't bother her with a greeting. Instead, I set my bag in a chair next to her and watch the match unfold from behind. Jet's rapid-fire fingers rattle the keyboard. That's the rapid-fire keyboard right there. With a flurry of taps and clicks, it looks like she's ahead, though not by much. Her focus never drops from the game, much less her monitor. It's almost like she doesn't notice I'm there. I wonder if I should say hello or just let her finish her game. What do we do? Do we stand back and watch her play, or do we tap her on the
Don't
shoulder?
be a dick, just wait.
Stand back and watch her play.
Alright, stand back and watch her play, got it. I decide to stand back and let her finish a game, hoping I don't look like some awkward foreigner who's trying to creep on a well-known pro gamer. She extends her lead into the late game, and a few minutes later, he's a sigh of relief when the opponent rage quits out. I don't need to consult my lackluster Korean skills to read what he had typed, Zerg Imba. With her game complete, she turns to regard me with a quick smile. A screen left to display her victory proudly. Jet?
Hey, you actually showed up. Is it bad if I thought you were going to flake?
She smiles, but even without it, I'd have known she was joking. My initial impression from watching Jet on streams and during tournaments wasn't too far off. She's extremely easygoing.
Could you blame me if I did? Who wants to walk for 15 minutes just to beat up on some scrub for a few hours?
The smile breaks into a laugh. It's good to know that even out here in Korea, where I'm some no-name foreigner, I've got friends on my back. I'm gonna turn down the volume a little bit. Here we go. Whoa, jeez.
Oh, don't fall.
Sorry, the music's really loud, I think. Okay, here we go. Before long, we're grinding out games, and lucky for me, Jet is really good about pointing out my mistakes. She isn't afraid to hurt my feelings with a blatant piece of advice, especially if it's something I need to hear.
Your wall at the front is total garbage. Who taught you to build a wall as sloppy as that?
I don't really think about it, or I read about it in the strategy forums.
Forums.
Forums. Let's blame
someone else.
I saw it on Reddit. Right. Okay.
I read about it. Read the strategy forums.
Why would you take advice from garbage? Stop wasting time on Bronze League players.
I actually posted in that thread. Better keep my mouth shut.
If you wall out that way, you're susceptible to a baneling all-in, like so.
Boom! Before I realize what's going on, a gaggle of Jet's Banelinks bust into my base. I've got a long way to go. Well, right as we're getting into another game, a familiar-looking guy walks through the doorway and up to the counter. If I recall correctly, he was the person I asked about the tournament that night that I first came to Golden Zone Fire. As his time in the cafe paid, he makes to find a seat on the other side of the room. Mark?
Hey Jet, do you know who that is?
I thumb in his direction. He's already got his mouse and keyboard set up and is getting into the SC2 client.
I think he's a Kespa player? Not totally sure, actually. I just know he plays Protoss.
A Kespa player? That guy?
KESPA is the Korean Esports Association. Back during the StarCraft Brood War days, you had to have a professional gaming license to compete on the circuit. In the StarCraft 2 scene, we don't need those licenses. Still, the KESPA pros are veterans to the scene.
They get out from time to time. They're not complete shut-ins in their team house.
Ironically, being shut in a team house is what I've been aiming for since I got here.
I think I'll ask him for a game.
Whoa, wait, you can't just go over there and...
Too late.
I make my way across the cafe! Jed shoots me a glare over the rows of computer setups, but I return it with only a grin. I don't know why I'm getting so hung up on this random pro gamer. It's not like he's done anything other than be kind of rude and dismissive toward me a month ago.
Flashback. Oh.
Well, this is like an example of a game of like somewhere in the middle of the game, I guess, or somewhere, you know.
Yeah, it's in the first act.
Right. The KESPA player is about to jump onto the ladder when I tap him on the shoulder. Nonplussed, he turns to regard me through his annoyed gaze.
Yes.
Excuse me, would you like to play a practice game with me? I've seen you around, heard you were kind of good.
I doubt he remembers who I am, but in the effect that he does, I don't want to let him know who I am until after he's been beaten.
Hon.
No, sorry. My teammates are just finishing up some errands, and I'm just gonna ladder maybe. We can play next.
He pauses. Recognition flits across his face.
Wait a second, I know you. You're the foreigner player who's been competing in all the local tournaments. I see you in PC Bangs every now and then.
There goes my cover. I grin sheepishly for what it's worth. His only reaction is to stare on.
Yeah, that's me. Been in Korea for a few months now.
Alright, fine. One game.
Even though he's yet to dismiss me, I doubt I've won any respect. Even if he did manage to recognize me. Still, he bears a fierce grin in my direction, gaze challenging my own. He starts making conversation with me as I set up my station.
Heard he took a few games off some notable players. I guess Terran is pretty strong these days. Lots of all-ins at their disposal.
What is this guy trying to imply?
I consistently place top 16 in all the international tournaments. I'm not just a one-trick pony.
Oh, that's very impressive. I also won a marathon against 5-year-olds. Don't think that your international results mean anything here. You'll be eaten alive.
Are we going to play, what?
Oh, of course. Let me finish setting up and smash my hand against a brick wall a few times. You know, to keep it fair.
I feel the disgust I felt for him during our first encounter flood my mind.
Just host the game.
I join the game lobby, and I look to Jed for some advice before the game starts. He's a barcode player, typical. Players make barcodes for their alternative account nicknames, so they're harder to identify on the ladder.
You're an idiot for playing this game, but just remember what you practiced. Don't try anything out of the ordinary.
Those were the last words I could make out from Jet before putting on my headphones to drown out the rest of the PC cafe. As the countdown finishes, and we head into the loading screen, my mind is racing with build orders. I have to win. I think back to what Jet told me. Stick to what macro up, play standard, and remember what we've practiced. However, I just have this huge temptation to all in this ass. I need to decide quickly. Do I stick with what I practice or do I all in? Alright, send an SCV to cheese that jerk.
Cheese.
Cheese.
I don't know what's going on.
Screw it. I'm going to all in this nerd. I placed 2 really early barracks mid-map, just outside his scouting path. He won't ever see it coming. As my marine count increases, I almost bounce in my chair in excitement. He hasn't managed to scout my all in. I got this. No way he'll win. I bring my marines to his base and charge up the high ground with an SCV building a bunker on the low ground. I poke at his units as he pulls his probes. This isn't good. He managed to get us around with his zealots and probes. Before I realize what's happening, I notice my marine count starts to dwindle. He gets his first stalker out. He might actually hold this. I'm mashing my A key and clicking furiously in hopes that I can salvage the situation, but it's too late. His stalker count is too high. I can't reinforce fast enough. He completely outplayed me with his defense, even though he didn't scout me at all. I have no other choice but to GG.
Hey, good game we had there. I think I actually underestimated you.
Can't be serious? But I humor him.
Oh really? I didn't play that well. You definitely had an impressive defense.
I mean, I thought he'd be playing against an easy AI player, but you proved to be around the skill level of medium AI at best.
Ooh, burn. I knew I'd regret humoring him.
Good joke. I just didn't want to reveal my builds. I'm cooking something up special just for you. Don't you worry.
You're the Joker here. Are you going to all in with 3 barracks instead of 2? Don't waste my time with your cheesy play. You Terran players are all the same.
He returns to his station and queues up the ladder. A crowd of people starts gathering around him to watch. Again, I didn't get his name, but at this point, I don't care.
You've got to be kidding me. And all in on that map? You've definitely been reading too much of those trash posts on the strategy forums.
It was a meta gameplay.
I guess if you do a strategy so awful they won't see it coming, too bad. It didn't work out for you. Come on, we've got a lot of work to do before you challenge someone like that again.
She's harsh, but she's right. I've got a long way to go before I can qualify for the upcoming tournament. I can't let another game like that happen again. I have to focus. I have to improve. I have to win. Yay!
Yay. That was fantastic reading. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I feel like we should be playing the Masterpiece Theater theme right now.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys probably have time to replay the whole thing, but I will say you did pick the shortest by cheesing that guy in the face.
Shall I just like skip up to the
Do it again. It's only been 20
You should be able to
minutes.
mouse wheel down
Can
to
you?
go
Okay.
really fast. Yeah, I think you should.
I actually made it hoping people would read it all the way through because it gets buggy. I guess if you slip through.
Do we wanna switch the voiceover roles? Although if the main difference
no.
is going to be
Is the main difference just the mechanics? Or are you doing some more choices we have?
There are like extra scenes. So like the cheesing him is the shortest. It's the shortest one, and then there are 2 more. I guess there are 2 more you can branch. So it gets a bit complicated, but you don't have to worry about it. You guys can play it, on your own time. You have a copy and things like that. So.
whoa. I think I went backwards instead of forward by clicking on the mouse wheel.
Oh, there's not a save on there, so
Oh, I see. Okay,
it-
alright.
yeah.
Yeah, there's forward skip on the bottom right there.
Forward skip.
There you go.
Yeah, I think if you hold control, it skips
Yes.
past.
Okay.
Let me try
There you
that.
go.
Alright, so here was the first decision point. For the folks who just came in, this was you walk into a PC bang, you walk into a PC cafe, you see a friend there, and she's in the middle of a game. What do you do?
Now I kind of want to tap her on the shoulder to see
Poke
if she
her.
raises.
Alright, let's bug her. I move over to tap her on the shoulder and to say hello. She's instantly startled, but doesn't look back.
Yeah, she's a pro.
Hey buddy, I'm in the middle of a game here.
I'm unsure if she knows it's me, but I move back and watch from a distance. She extends her lead into the late game, and a few minutes later she heaves a sigh of relief when the opponent rage quits out. I don't need to consult my lackluster Korean skills to read what he had typed. Zero Gimba. Okay, should I forward skip again?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait, well this is
she's
different.
kind of- yeah, she's
With,
kind of
with her game complete, gets out of her chair visibly annoyed, looking for the person who almost cost her the game. Luckily she didn't realize it was me. As she sees me across the PC cafe, her frustration turns into a smile as she walks over to greet me.
So good at this.
I am playing a female protagonist now.
Hey, you actually showed up. Is it bad if I thought you were going to flake?
She smiles, but without it I'd have known she was joking. My initial impression from watching Jet on streams and during tournaments wasn't too far off. She's extremely easygoing.
This isn't the same as before.
Okay, alright, I'm going to do forward skip.
Scrub beating. Blame me. Skip time.
Okay, alright, so this was the next decision point, which was, who taught you to wall in like that?
You suck.
I don't really think about it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Just do things. Don't be so judgmental.
I play against the AI. Ma?
Oh, I
Boys.
say things. It's not something I really think about that much. I just sort of put it up, you know.
Well, fix it, or I'm going to Baneling bust you next game.
I know she can end the game in an instant. Even the aspiring pro gamers know when to take an advantage when they see it. Still, if your opponent knows he or she is better than you, they always want to bring you to late game. The longer the game goes on, the more chances you can make mistakes. Making mistakes. Sometimes I feel like that's the only thing I can do in game. Okay, right as we're going, yeah, this is what happened earlier. So, the antagonist shows up, and then you start a ladder game against this some unknown Kespa pro
Man
gamer.
of mystery.
All right, now we're in the game, and what do people want to do now?
Stick with
Stick
what you
with-
practiced.
yeah.
What did you do last time?
We
We
cheesed
cheesed.
him.
We cheesed him, and then we died.
So practice.
All right. I stick to Jed's advice, play standard, stick with what I know, and play for a longer game. I take my natural expansion and start teching up. The game has progressed rather quietly. My scouts know he's not doing anything out of the ordinary, but one of us has to make a move sooner rather than later. When my starport goes up and my bio upgrades are underway, I could actually go for some drop play and try to snipe some of his critical tech buildings.
Uh-oh.
If I were to play an aggressive drop style, I need to be confident in my control and the fact that I can outplay him. On the other hand, this game has been exceptionally quiet. He could be heavily focused on macro and tech, which means I could take this opportunity to take a fast third expansion.
Oh, man.
My army production will be temporarily stifled, and my bases will be open to harassment. So what do I
I
do?
knew what all of that meant.
Yep, do I start harassing with medevac drops, or do I take a fast third expansion?
Yeah, start harassing.
Aggression.
Alright, start attacking. Alright, medevac drop play can be a defining characteristic of a top tier Terran player, which is what I am, right?
Yeah.
If I win with this, it's a good indication that I can stand toe to toe with the top players in Korea. It's time to put my practice to work. I am now rallying my bio forces as the first dropship finishes. My units load up. I shift click my dropships across the map. It's imperative he doesn't see me move out. Our dropships are in the clear and I boost into his base. He's completely unprepared as I unload all my units and stim to snipe his production buildings. Sick! 6 City! I snipe a huge amount of production buildings and a robotics bay. He's so far behind now. I'm amazed at how well this game is going. I feel like I'm in a dream. I had no idea my practice will pay off this much.
Oh god, please let this actually be a dream sequence.
My drops are relentless, and he's too busy defending to get a decent standing army, and I eventually roll in with my amassed units, and... This is actually happening? Am I about to take a game off of Casper Pro? I did it! He GG'd!
No.
GG! Dun, dun, dun. Alright, I sit for a while looking at the victory screen on my computer. I can't believe it. I immediately saved the replay and emailed it to myself before shutting down StarCraft. My opponent walks over, visibly frazzled.
I don't know what to say.
Good game?
Sure, why not? I hope you know that I was sandbagging. There's no way I would reveal my top secret builds at a place like this, especially before a tournament.
I was acting!
Gotta be kidding me.
Look, man, if you weren't going to try, then why even play me?
I'm still a man of the people. I don't mind doing fan games once in a while.
Except this fan beat you. I decided it's probably for the best I don't snap back.
Sure, whatever. I'll let you get back to your games. See you at the qualifier.
He shrugs and goes back to his station to queue up ladder. A crowd gathers around him to watch him play. Where were they when I was crushing him? He played at the barcode too. Even with the replay, people wouldn't believe I actually beat this Casper Pro. Still didn't get his name either. I didn't get his name either.
I can't believe that just happened. What did you do? I need to watch the replay.
I just followed your advice.
Ah, of course, because you've been practicing with a top-tier Zerg like myself. Don't get content though, we still have a lot of work to do before the qualifier. Now show me that replay.
She immediately goes back to her station and signals me to email her the replay. A little celebration would have been nice, but Jet is focused. One win at a PC cafe isn't going to qualify us for the next tournament. It's a small victory, but it was against a seasoned pro, more veteran than Jet. It's the most meaningful win I've had in months. My confidence is soaring. But just like Jet, I can't let that get to me. I need to stay focused. All this win means is that I'm on the right track. I'm ready to keep going. I'm ready to win. Yay! All right.
I enjoyed that again.
Yay!
Perform!
I'm assuming there's more if you just go for the third and
Yeah,
something else
there's
happens.
another path. It was interesting because in our original demo, I mean, we did it so quickly, and we actually had no idea what we were doing at the time. All the results ended in the same result, even though it was like different text, but people still really enjoyed it. Like, that was really surprising to me, is like people just genuinely enjoyed the story. Though one guy sent me like a really long Skype message about how things in life should be meaningful and the choices weren't meaningful.
We agree.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, did they really though?
yeah.
Oh, I'm embarrassed for humanity on his behalf.
Are you sure he wasn't just trolling you?
They could have been. I don't know.
Well, so
Those Eagles.
what started this project? How did you get inspired to do this?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So
Sure.
TJ is an accomplished. He's probably like the top tier North American funny StarCraft 2 video maker.
Oh, stop.
But anyway, yeah. So he was on like a StarCraft 2 video making binge for a while. He made a SC2. What if SC2 was a visual novel video? And I think that's still on his YouTube channel. And it's much more funny and goofy because like you go on a date with like MC and MKP, and he just takes like pictures from Wikipedia or something, and you literally go on a date and like resolve romantic issues. I'm like, this is really funny. Like, you could actually make this to a game. So I take the video, and I open up Ren'Py, and I make basically a game out of his video, and I send it to him. I'm like, hey, you could actually make a game out of this. And he's like, yeah, we could. We should actually just make it. And before then, I didn't really know who TJ was. Like, funny enough, we actually like know a lot of people through StarCraft, but we just never knew each other. And then after that, we actually started brainstorming for what an actual game like this would look like. And we're like, we could actually just make this kind of like a serious game where you're a pro gamer in Korea. And from there, we wrote up a script, made up a few characters, like based off like actual pro gamers, and we thought it would be really funny if we gender bended like some like StarCraft 2 professional players. Like, so we have Dongwei Gu, who's like a really good Zerg player, but we gender bended him into like, a female player who's just like really uppity and awesome, and that then she turned to our female pro player.
Yeah.
And then, we released the demo after that, and then 2 days later we released our Kickstarter because we're like, we could actually, like, there's a lot of good response here. We could actually make this into a really good, like, nicely produced game for people to play. And then from there, it's kind of history. And then the MIT Game Lab was awesome enough to support us, and now we're here. So, yay.
Yeah.
So during the campaign, was it like, did you find yourselves like busier than normal? I mean, that's what I generally hear from people who run Kickstarter campaigns. Is that it's a little bit hectic.
Yeah. So like the first week, I kind of had like a mini schedule in my head. I'm like, I'm going to update every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and poke people once in a while. Because like I was used to be the kind of person who was like, I don't want to spam Twitter, I don't want to spam emails or whatever. And then like one of my coworkers was like, hey, I ran this Kickstarter, which was really successful. You're actually doing it wrong, and you need to like be poking people and being as obnoxious as possible every day. So yeah, that's kind of when things really picked up, and we were like, every day we woke up, we were thinking about how we could reach more people. TJ's posting on visual novel forums. I'm poking people I know in StarCraft. And then I think like the biggest thing I learned from that was like, in terms of promotion, like even though if you're thinking you're being obnoxious, like you're actually not. Like every day people would be like, I just heard about this. Like no one ever came up to me and be like, dude, you're spamming this too much. They were just like, I just heard about this and this is awesome. Like why didn't I know about this before? And I'm like, I've actually been like poking everyone for the last 2 weeks every day for like 2 hours a day, and yeah, like I do my best, man. So yeah, that was at least my experience with it. And it went up till the very end, like the way that was like, I think we had like 2 days left on our before we actually
we did a late night stream, I think, and that's when we finally made it like a day before it was due.
Yeah, we did like a 24-hour-ish stream, I think, or not maybe 24, like 6.
It was like 8 hours. It was so long. Yeah. One of the things that I found was most important that I didn't think was going to be the case, you're going to want to be pushing out a lot of updates on your Kickstarter page, and you want to prepare those, because, if you're like just going day to day and it's like, oh, what should I post now? It feels a little, messy. So just for anyone that wants, is thinking about doing a Kickstarter campaign, definitely like sort of map out how you want to be doing your Kickstarter updates and how you want to be keeping in touch with your backers and stuff like that beforehand, before you post the project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, something, I guess, on the last note is like, when we started the project, all development kind of like went on the side, aside from like running down and funding ideas and stuff. And it really became like a really big community project. Not only like how can we reach those people, but how can we like make more content that people can enjoy, like on our Kickstarter page. And to be honest, like personally, it's like been kind of tough to do that because we're balancing dev and community at the moment. So I really see the value of like getting someone on who's like purely a community person who can like talk to people. But like we're balancing between the two right now, and it's just been a bit tougher to like keep talking to people on a daily basis, and it's more like a weekly basis now. So,
any questions for the devs?
I had a question. So, in the recent world of visual novels, like some of the most characteristic and critically acclaimed and genre-defining visual novels, stuff like Air, Saya no Uta, Katawa Shoujo, Monster Girl Quest, like they all have the characteristic, and in fact increasingly are defined by gratuitous sex scenes. Are you guys going to have any such sex scenes in SC2VN, and if so, like how many romance options will be available?
It's like the number one question we get. Sorry.
Are you going to have gratuitous puzzle scenes as well? Because like gratuitous puzzle scenes are cool too.
It's so requested. It wasn't really what we had in mind when we first started it. Like, because the project was always envisioned like from the very beginning. Is when I made like the little video, and it's like, oh, it's a joke. It's funny because we take these internet celebrities and we pair them together. That's we get yucks out of that. But then when we started thinking about making this more of a serious project, we sort of cut away that sheen of humor, and it's more about the fantasy of going to Korea and what it's like to be a foreigner in Korea, because that's an experience not a lot of people have, but a lot of people think about wanting. Part of that fantasy can be if you're going to be a professional gamer in Korea, so like maybe dating someone there, but it's never like at the heart of it with those visual novels you named. That said, it's so requested that like I feel like I would be doing a disservice to the backers and the community if we didn't add that.
I wouldn't say like gratuitous sex scenes, but like there will be dating, there'll be like romance and stuff. But like TJ said, that's kind of like we've mapped something out, but that's like on the side. It's not the main focus, even though it's like the number one requested thing. So it has to be there.
You do have like gratuitous RTS scenes in the game.
Yeah, I mean that's
people die. Well, units die, not actually.
We might do gratuitous everything else scenes, but like, I mean, I guess I could commission for some gratuitous sex scenes, but like, it would just be so like not. I mean, obviously it'd be awkward, but I just don't know how we would fit it in there like right away. I don't know what like the sex life of pro gamers are like. I mean, I guess like we're interviewing some, so I could ask, like, it's for science, and then I don't know. I'm sure it's normal like everyone else, and. Yeah, but yeah, it's not. It'll like there'll be romance, there'll be dating, there'll be focus. You know, we want to reach a lot of people, and hopefully people won't get turned off by the fact that there are gratuitous sex scenes. There won't be.
You could totally Inception it, and have have a character who's making a romance visual novel based on StarCraft characters inside your visual novel based on StarCraft.
So be cameos in your own game, basically.
Yeah. Well,
That's not a bad idea.
Sex scenes and puzzles.
We've just officially restarted development, and that's what we're building off of. We're building a game. Now that's actually not a bad idea. Like a funny thing I was thinking about is like, if we make this successful enough, other people will do this for us because the anime fan community can be awesome, but also very scary. So. Yeah, I think right now is like, let's just put it out there and see what happens. I think it would be really funny if that happened, but not like again, like nothing I think about on a daily basis or anything like that.
Christine Love posted Rule 34 links about Analog and Hate Plus on Twitter last week, and they were sort of this simultaneous, I've arrived as a visual novel creator, and oh god, what is going on? So
yeah. I hope I can get like the Ken Levine's experience where I'm like, please stop doing this, but cross that bridge when we get there.
I'm pretty sure that just encourages, and it probably does come with the territory of making any game in specifically this illustrative manga style. I wouldn't even call it anime style. This is.
I mean, I'll pass this along to TJ because I think he's played more visual novels than I have, and I played like 1.2. Like I played like half, like not even half of Kala Shoujo. But at least the most interesting part of the project for me is the idea that we're mashing like the tropes of like manga style and anime style with like esports, which isn't really done all that often. I'm kind of sad. Like I know that. So if anyone's watching the stream and they know the OSL Ever 2007 Brood War intro, it's like the really awesome cartoony intro. Like that, I love that intro because it's like mashing StarCraft and anime, and I love that League of Legends anime promotional thing. And it's just like not done enough. Like, man, this is so awesome. Like more people should do it. I don't know. PJ can talk more about that in the writing, I guess.
That tournament video that Riot did.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
It was really long.
Yeah.
It was long.
There's a cross pollination sort of communities that this game can bring. It can bring people that are primarily just fans of visual novels into the esports scene. It can bring people that just know of my videos, or they just know of esports and hear about this, and then gets them to try their first visual novel. And so we keep that in mind when we're developing this. That we're going to be having people that don't know what max saturation is, or and someone that's never experienced a visual novel, so that you can't just throw them into the experience. So the first act is going to be very the demo showed that a little bit. Explained what Kespa was, for example. I feel like if you're a StarCraft fan, you know what Kespa is, but those explanations need to be there, so we don't just keep people that don't know that much about StarCraft dead in the water.
We can also do a better job of explaining like the actual game mechanics. Like I think some of you were like, I have no idea what like a medevac drop play harassment would be, and I'm like, that's actually a really good point.
Well,
it helps make more.
You also had the word aggressive in brackets. That sort of like, well, all you gotta really need to know is, do you want to be aggressive or do you just want to stick to the plan, right?
Yeah, I mean the ultimate goal would be like you can really derive the impact that this strategy is going to have on your opponent. So like, if you cheese your rival, you kind of go in expecting that you're going to piss them off. Like that's kind of the dichotomy that we're going for. It's like not only are you playing something in the game, but you're going to have like a real world reaction that these people have. So something we couldn't showcase in this demo was like, you're hopefully these characters will remember the things you've done to them in game. So the rival will be like, oh my god, you cheesed me last week. Like you're just such a scumbag player. I'm not going to play you again or anything like that. But yeah, that's something like we're really looking to get in, and it's like pretty well developed, almost there.
Yeah. A major thing that we think is important is that you're able to sort of craft the character that you're going to play as, and that's just through choice. You don't have like a slider to choose your height or something like that. But it's going to be you design like the way that you're playing StarCraft is the way that the world is going to be interacting with you. And yeah, like Tim said, if you play like honorable or like macro games, people are treat you with a bit more respect. But then if that's leading you to lose, it's like less respect. So there's there's a bit of a meta game behind just the story going on, which is interesting. I don't know if we're gonna like have a way to min max the best possible mock.
Yeah.
It'll probably just end up being a little bit more organic than that.
I assume a lot of players are just gonna want to try to see that eventually they'll just read every possible iteration of how you could play through.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Or at least
if they like the game.
Yeah. You mentioned research and interviews, right? You're talking to pro gamers and trying to get their experiences in this game. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that process of like what you're choosing to put into the game from that research.
Yeah. I'll go with that. So I actually last semester, if you guys are familiar with the player, his name is Binsky Light. He's teamless right now. He was on Infinity 7 for a bit. He's my roommate here at UNT, and I lived with him and I got to see firsthand a lot of his struggle. Like he comes off a bad ladder game, and I get to experience firsthand the rage he's feeling. So it taught me a lot about sort of the mindset of when you're losing versus you're winning, when you're not that well known versus like when there's a success that you have and like how important it is to you, like just like a little success that you didn't even make that much money but it just means a lot. And given that you're a foreigner in Korea, it's you start out at the bottom, and it starts off like, oh, I'm not making it in this, this is gonna be terrible, I'm gonna be a nobody for the rest of my life. But then you start piling on those small victories, and it eventually becomes, even if you're not the MC or the MKP that everybody knows of, you still feel accomplished, and that's sort of what we're trying to go with when it comes to that influence that I've learned. We've also interviewed I don't know if you guys know this guy's name is Carefoot.
Carefoot. No.
He went to Korea and tried to qualify for GSL, I think, in 2010, 2011, and he didn't make it. And it was really unfortunate for him because he spent money to go over to Korea and he spent money to live there, and it just didn't work out. And I got to hear from him firsthand his feelings on that. I think we posted a Kickstarter interview with him, and that's part of the fantasy of going over to Korea and living in Korea playing StarCraft. That's a reality that's possible. I don't know if that's going to be an outcome that you can reach in the game, but that it's there, and it definitely influences me when I'm thinking about what the character's thinking.
Do you have any opportunities to interview Korean pro gamers or their parents?
I have not.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess I could ask like some people, but I guess we are a bit focused on the foreigner experience, and I guess I still have to watch the State of Play documentary before I jump into something like that. But that's actually that's a really good idea, actually.
It would be interesting to see what the Korean programmers think of foreign programmers trying to make it in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you could tell like we had to take like there are some liberties taken with the game. Obviously, like you go to Korea and you're a foreigner, and then like you speak fluent Korean-ish. You're like interacting and talking to anyone in supposedly English, which is maybe just translated Korean. But yeah, like we hopefully like it'd be great to get the attitude reflected across, because I've had the opportunity to know a lot of both Korean and international professional gamers, and like it's a really awesome phenomenon. Like the esports phenomenon is really awesome because it is like this mixing of cultures from all around the world. It's just like a really, really cool international way. So that's definitely something I would love to look into.
I get the feeling that there's very rarely any time that a Korean person hosting some foreigners at a tournament or whatever ever are treat them with the disdain shown of the rival.
Yeah,
but
they're actually
at the same time, when you're writing a story, there needs to be some conflict. You got to have someone to root for, someone to root against. So we're not gonna. Even if it'd be more accurate for them to be, very respectful and going, please, I hope to do my best. Please cheer for me fighting. That's not as much fun to read about as, some sort of jerk you want the main character to be.
Funny enough, I think it's like the international players who are the most, like Naniwa or something. Like
Yes,
it would talk the most trash.
definitely.
I think on that note too, like we kind of like again like taking creative liberties in this game. This is kind of, I mean, TJ, you're like saying this takes place in 2011, but in my mind it's more like 20XX. You know, distant, sometime in the near distant future. Something that I think people will like realize is there'll actually be like you'll be interacting with a lot more like female professional gamers, which is definitely not the case right now, but hopefully in the near future it will be. And again, that just goes back to like, it just makes the game more interesting if like people are different or like, you know, the interactions are diverse. So
We have a question from the chat. Are there going to be interactions with casters in the game?
Oh, definitely. I'm interested to see. You know, it's not going to be like casters that we know of. You know, because we sort of started out where we were going to be doing you know, characters that exist in real life, and I mean that's if it works. It's slip. You know, but you know, you might see someone inspired by someone else, you know, or has a few of their mannerisms, but it's not going to be like their names. The main thing is that, you know, when you're in Korea and you're a foreigner, it's a very small foreigner playing StarCraft in Korea community, and I feel like a lot of those guys, you know, they know each other and they hang out, and you'll get to see that. It's not going to be like, you know, your total bros and hanging out 24/7, but yeah, there'll be scenes with those guys. Yeah,
I mean, like Day9 was like on board for doing some voice acting, and originally we were going to have him on like as a coach character. Like I just had a really crazy idea where you actually like you watch yourself playing in a Day9 daily or something like that. But yeah, like you'll definitely interact with casters. It's just figuring out where they best fit in the story. Like we've been thinking about the pro gamer experience for like really long time.
So, I feel like this actually wouldn't work outside. It wouldn't work in, like, for example, the U.S. as a setting, because I feel like the PC bong as a phenomenon is a thing that even makes this possible, right? Like,
absolutely.
You don't get that sort of public play of games like StarCraft or League or whatever in that concentrated space in the U.S., right? Like, it's primarily a thing you play at home alone. So, I mean, did that factor? I know you have tons of reasons for setting it, you know, where it is, but I mean, was that a thing that factored into kind of you're making not a dating sim, but you're making a visual novel, but everything's a dating sim to me, but you're making a visual novel, right, which is fundamentally a social situation for the most part, you know, unless you want to Orson Welles and just monologue it all. But did that factor in kind of like the fact that you in the Korean setting you could get this kind of like co-located social play of StarCraft that you probably couldn't get setting it somewhere like the U.S.?
I'll say that you know the primary fantasy driving, you know, the thing that you get from playing SC2VN, it's like you can be the foreigner that goes to Korea and goes and, you know, that's a non-experience you're gonna get to have in real life. And, you know, part of the reason I feel that is so appealing to people, that is a fantasy that they have, is because of what you're saying. That it exists in this, you know, super highly technological advanced society, you know, living in Seoul. And, you know, gaming is like, you know, I don't know if I'd say pastime, but, you know, it's more so than it is here in the United States. And so it just sort of, it came naturally, I guess, that, yeah, you're right. If we were writing this in the U.S., it'd just be, you know, like, get up and I make myself lunch and I ladder some, and then maybe once every 10,000 words you go to MLG, and I mean that would be exciting. Those scenes would be fun, but you know, otherwise which is, you know, says something about the SC2 scene in America. I mean, like maybe you could do one based in the EG house. That would be kind of funny actually. There's a little like, you know,
or
slice of whatever. Yeah, that'd be funny. But yeah, you're right in that it's a very much a social, you know, without characters to interact with. It's just.
I don't know. You could turn the sandwich creation into Roots, right?
Oh,
Which ending did you get? I got the roast beef ending.
I mean,
I got the turkey club ending.
I would imagine that if we're doing this in the U.S., it might it might work with like Halo or Call of Duty, where you have
Fighting
like
games.
high school groups or fighting games. Yes, the fighting game visual novel. Right.
Oh
so,
yeah, that would be really cool. Like going to the arcades and stuff.
Yeah, maybe the long-term goal is like we just start a studio and we just do all these
Esports visual novels.
Esports.
Flappy Bird visual novel.
I think I've been thinking about it. So like I guess the other requested thing on top of the gratuitous sex scenes is like League of Legends, right? It's like, hey, why didn't you do League of Legends? Why didn't you do Dota 2? Or like, when are you going to do this? And I think with the League scene, it would make some sense because like I've been to LCS, it's like an hour down the freeway, and it's really cool what Riot's doing. It's like they're bringing in people to live together to like emulate the social experience. So like in that way, I could definitely see something like that happening. But that's like an idea I've just played with from my mind. Like obviously I need to focus on the SC2VN and what else was I going to say on top of that? And yeah, just like being like I've personally followed Brood War for a very long time. So like TJ said, like the idea that a foreigner goes to Korea and like competes and like makes it big is like this crazy fish out of water, like almost like epic narrative of